the women in my paintings in this show, they're not meant to be an example of hysteria or passivity as the common notion of women have been depicted throughout the centuries of art depictions. They're instead more like manifestations of power and complete self-control. The notion of gender is important in my work. I think it's very complicated because of the idea of the male gaze, and also the problem is that the AI itself, of whom I'm collaborating with, does not understand what gender is. It is the case that you can create data. So you can create billions of images and then compress them, denoise them, and then via the diffusion models come up with an image. But this data is always curated, so there will always be biases. And these biases will differ from which culture is creating the language model or the image model. So gender is going to continue to be a serious issue with AI. A lot of the responsibility is still going to be dependent in normal senses with the artist, a serious issue with AI.
如果从这次展览的主题是花园堡垒，首先他想象的花园应该就是一个理想的花园，为了这次展览做了一个理想的伊甸园，也是一个文艺复兴的花园。他想象的台湾从古代从佛摩萨的岛屿到今天 AI 科技之岛，出现了非常多有趣的文化建构的现象。
The third gallery is specifically only women, and the sexuality of these women is confident, however, expressing a kind of uncanny intensity. This intensity comes from the method of training the AI. Artists try to mitigate this by weighting them using low-rank adaptation models, which are known as LoRAs. That is, the weighting of these models towards another style, your style, any artist's style. But if you want to go deeper and retrain the model and weight it, then you're going to weight it towards your own aesthetic impulses. And then you start taking responsibility. Now, I mentioned this because some of the early models had cliches or aesthetic sensibilities towards red-headed women, slim women, thin, tall, and so on. And some of these aspects are interesting in terms of the AI's bias, and I allow some of these biases to enter the work on purpose. However, I also counter these with uncanny aspects. So although the women are wearing maybe Hermes or Balenciaga or something, and they're wearing these pearls, and there's a materialistic aspect to their couture that they're wearing, this is completely like a kind of imbalance with the strange interior, powerful psychology of the actual women themselves. The interiority of them is so intense with their environments, sometimes a natural environment, a storm, or a sort of powerful animal they are either trying to control. There is also a sense of boundary with the women. They often encountering the otherness, something that is other than themselves.
在这次冯沃夫的作品中，他其实一直探讨他本身，他祖先从德国、波兰移动到了英国，紧接在英国从事创作，在一个纯白人的环境中开始寻找，所以他回归艺术史的发展里面去寻找他的文化记忆。
From TMSC and the creating of silicon chips to great libraries of Alexandria or Renaissance libraries of Cosimo de' Medici. So the idea of the library as a cultural data center and power center. So this is one aspect of it. And then the other aspect is psychogeography and the actual political and geopolitical position of the island of Taiwan itself. It's a very large subject, but one can start with Taiwan as being this idea of a fortress, both geographically, because it has this huge mountain ranges that act as shields to typhoons and also to invaders. So my focus on this exhibition is an amalgamation of the historical investigation into the colonization of a whole island, how to represent that in a museum in a curatorial way. The initial stage of the painting was that they were supposed to be a kind of AGI-like machines, that the women freed with their freedom on the Vespers were riding around in a kind of utopian landscape. The landscape is kind of topiary from the times of the Sun King of Louis XIV. It's a geometricized control of nature, which is much like the AI itself. When they train it, they try to take the wild fierceness of the data and then align it to ourselves, much like how Louis XIV was trying to control nature. The Vespers, if we're going to talk about it in a rather literal way, is just the freedom of the women. However, this is counteracted with the circular picket fence, which emphasizes that she's somewhat of a prisoner. The quantum computer so the quantum aspect of it has been reduced to these very simplistic glass cylinders.
我们不太希望 AI 是一种快速的机器或一种工具 ，AI 反而应该是形成艺术家在实行过程中，它更可以更深，还可以更广去了解自己所不知道的一切。当然 AI 里面有很多的是伪资料，所以艺术家在谈这个真或伪、真相 real 或者 true， 我觉得这是吊诡在艺术跟其他追求完全的真理的不同。艺术在推动的过程中，真伪之间出现了有一种对照，很难说明、扑朔迷离的一种思辨。所以，不管是从冯沃夫这次 AI 在近年10年之内的展开这样的对话，冯沃夫在少数艺术家中开始想要去谈论所谓 AI 在艺术制成上面个人个性化跟特质性的这个部分的厘清。我认为它就像这一波不能回避的很多的艺术家都共同面临的问题。我们很期待，而且很渴望成为共同在思考这个问题的蛮前面的几个美术馆之一。
So, in a similar way, I would say to artists, there's no need to use AI if you do not wish to. It's optional. So, when perspective came along, they adopted it in creative ways. André del Mantegna used it in one way, Leonardo da Vinci used it in another. So, as it will be in the 21st century, artists will use AI in the most extraordinary way, and they may be freed from this idea of style. They may be able to speed up the evolution of their style by using it. So, it is a liberating method of working. AI is not inhumane. You have complete control over it in some way. It kind of executes self as a hierarchy over your own individuality. You can iterate with the AI. There is a sense of emerging meaning with it. And in the East, working in Asia, I find this is very in keeping with the ideas of the Tao.